Let me explain the evolution of TPS. It's a long history starting with Secrecy, starting with Jidoka and Kichiro's idea, just in time.
Every one of these people built, and it's just all these small steps, and they all added up to this amazing system.
Ohno-san actually worked on it 30, 40 years. I understood that after 1970, everything really went well.
So everything was going pretty well up to here.
No,
And
after 70.
after here, it was going pretty well. So these were rough periods. These were all the growing pains that a lot of companies always experience. And then finally things started to smooth out.
Before that, those are really the times we had to study and learn.
Right.
Very few people worked on TPS. I didn't even know what TPS was until 1970. So this was Ohno-san's idea.
So in 1970, you joined the company in what year again? Right here in 64. Yeah. And so you really didn't know about TPS ideas in 1970.
Yeah.
When did they start talking about TPS ideas?
This was Ohno-san's idea.
Right.
Do not talk to people on the outside about TPS. Do not write anything down. Keep it a secret.
Keep everything a secret. Yeah. Because he knew what he was doing.
He was just talking. That's why the employees of Toyota didn't even know about TPS.
Didn't really not know about Ohno's system, the TPS system. It was kind of hush-hush.
Only TPS study group know about TPS.
Right, only the study group. Now, what's interesting is because that article that was written, The Machine That Changed the World, the book that was written and all that, was written in the 80s because Toyota recovered from a big shock and where everybody else didn't. And then people go, what is Toyota doing? And then everybody wanted to know the secret.
Then after 1970, I think AG Toyota said, we need to spread this. AG Toyota said it's not good for just special people to know this. We need to spread it.
Right, we need to spread it.
Yeah.
So AJ Toyota identified that only a few people knew this Toyota production system, and we need to spread it through the whole company. And again, stuff that I never knew before. This is so fascinating.
I know.
We called it not TPS. It's Ohno-san's system.
That's Ohno's system. You didn't call it TPS. Were you excited when you learned Ohno's system? Like when you really go, oh man, what they're doing is really interesting. Were you like, oh, this is amazing?
Actually, I didn't. I didn't know. I wasn't excited because I had to fight with the quality problems every day.
Fight with the quality problem every day. This was my life before I learned TPS. Always fighting with quality problems. That's all I did was fight. So when you learned about the TPS system, when you learned about Ohno's system, you were not excited? I would think you would say, oh, this will solve the problems.
Yeah, I really didn't understand what was going on at that time back then.
You make me feel so good. You make me feel so good. I don't understand anything. That you don't understand something that makes me feel good.
Actually, I studied TPS again after I was promoted to the paint shop manager.
And what year was that? Let's see. It's 64. It's not on here. Approximately
1980.
1980. Okay, I was born in 1960. So 4 years after I was born, you joined Toyota. In 1980, that's when you started.
Yes, I joined Toyota in 1964, but I was born 1942.
Right. Okay.
After I became the manager of the paint shop,
that's when you started studying it.
Every day. There's some process problem, maybe some machine breakdown. Then I really studied the Toyota production system. I studied and implemented standardized work.
This is fascinating.
As a quality engineer, I just focused on the quality.
Right. But not necessarily a system on how to fix the quality or solve the quality issues.
Before I became a manager, Ohno-san already decided that if special departments like the Kaizen department and the manufacturing department were separate, that is no good.
Not good. Not good.
So for example, the inspection department is now part of the manufacturing department. It is not a separate department.
Together? Where before they were separate departments. Manufacturing and inspection were separate.
We were just making money.
Right? And then somebody's checking your work.
We were just making bodies, not doing inspection. I don't know why, but before we would manufacture the product and we won't really care about it because it's not our department. Now that we join them together, the people making the parts are now responsible for quality.
Now the manufacturer cared. I see. So Ohno moved inspection with manufacturing, and now manufacturing cared more about the quality. I want to understand this nuance. Again, stuff I never knew. When he moved inspection with manufacturing, what does that mean? They were working side by side? What does that mean?
So now manufacturing had total responsibility. There were not separate inspectors. They were the inspectors.
Oh, what you're saying is they didn't put the inspectors with the manufacturers. They said the manufacturers, you're responsible for inspection.
The inspectors now are only responsible for final inspection.
Only final inspection. So before we had inspection all the way through. We had inspectors all the way through. Then Ohno changed it to the people making the parts were the inspectors and just final inspection.
Ohno-san's idea. Everything moves to manufacturing. So this wasn't normal for government regulations. But finally, the government acquiescence said the inspectors can just do final inspection.
Okay, so in other words, Ohno wanted all inspection to be in manufacturing. The government stepped in and said, well, there's got to be some inspection somewhere, and that inspection will happen in the final inspection. But other than that, Ohno said, you make the product, you better make sure it's right.
In Japan, the government has a special system. When Toyota decides to make a new car, we have to report to the government and say, we're going to make this new car. And they check all the processes and system, and then they say, okay.
Why do you think the Japanese government was so involved, intertwined with manufacturing? That's not the way we think in America so much. Why do you think that?
They don't always trust the companies.
Oh, they don't trust them. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay.
So with Toyota, we won the trust of the government, and we were the only automotive company that the government said we could inspect our own vehicles. We didn't have to have government inspect or have separate inspectors. So with Toyota, when there's a new vehicle line, Toyota does everything. The government doesn't inspect.
Because they trust Toyota.
Yeah, but 3 years later, we received another inspection from the government. So the government would come every 3 years and look at our work and make sure quality was good.
So the government inspects you after 3 years to see whether or not you really could do the job. And if they saw that you could do the job, then they were done completely with all inspection?
No, every 3 years and 5 years and 7 years, even today.
So even today. Okay, well, this is really good because this is the whole thing where we have the vehicle inspection in Japan as well, every 3 years.
Yeah, every 3 years.
3 years. So the bottom line is, what I learned from this particular conversation is I learned in Japan, you set an expectation, you inspect the expectation, and you celebrate it when it's done correctly. Actually, I learned that from Harry Kenworthy. And that concept is deeply rooted in the way the Japanese think. We set an expectation, and we don't just say, okay, they're meeting it, and then walk away. You inspect it. And on regular intervals that people understand, on regular intervals that people understand what those intervals are, and you celebrate when they do it right. And it's ongoing and never stops. Fascinating.
After I worked at manufacturing as a manager, I had to start studying the TPS system. It's very difficult nonstop studying. It was difficult to make my people understand why we had to study TPS.
What do you mean you negotiate with the people on the floor?
Make them understand how important TPS is.
I see, because they're busy doing the work, and now you want them to do the thinking as well as the work. That's always a challenge.
So I had a sneaky little strategy. I had a lot of drinking parties with frontline workers to get them to believe what I was trying to teach them, and also that drinking helped me understand their thinking.
And then they try to understand you. So it's a mutual time away from work where you try to understand each other. It's a good strategy. Yeah, that's amazing.
It took 8 years since I became the paint shop manager to get them to understand. So we did a good job, but it took me 6 years to move up to the next position to be promoted.
Wow. So as you move up the next position, you're a paint shop manager for 6 years, you say?
8 years.
8 years. And then move up to the next position. And then you have to reestablish all new Gemba people too, right? All new drinking parties.
We loved it. It was great fun.
We love.
I had many talks with the shop people, and I began to really understand what their problems were and what their issues were and what are the key factors in order to improve the process. And all these improvements changed their mind.
Maybe what I got to do is write my next book about Toyota drinking parties. TPS Toyota drinking parties, right? Toyota, no, TDP. Toyota drinking parties, TPS, right? That'll be our next one. That's a good one. I like it.
Probably most people don't do that, but that was our culture.
Yeah. But back then, that was the way it was done, sure.
It's very strange and very special that after 80 years, Jidoka is still the center of what Toyota does. They still say, Jidoka, just in time.
Yeah, it's still there, deeply embedded. Never change.